Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Cassandra Duffield. I'm a sensitive intuitive. I'm a medical medium and a psychic medium. For those that haven't found my channel before, I like to come on here and share some of what I'm getting. I get a lot of downloads from spirit, from the galactics. I work a lot with the angels and the Galactic Federation, and I also work with a team from the Galactic Federation called the Zarang Collective. Now, it has been a quick minute since I've been on here, and I apologize for that. I also am a current practicing naturopath. So I've, in recent months here where I live on the Gold Coast, reopened my practice. And so I've been really busy setting up that new business, etc. So apologize. It's been a quick minute since I've been in here, but there's been so much happening. Now, across this time where I have not been here as regularly as I would like, there's still been a lot happening. And I have such a backlog of notes and information of everything that they wanted me to share. So look, what I wanted to do today was tap into where we're at right now. I've got some things that they're going, Cass, tell people now, tell people now, tell people now. So that's what we're here to do. I do have a bit of a funny throat. I apologize. In advance, I've got my hot herbal tea here because I have a bit of a funny throat this afternoon, but I wanted to get this done before I potentially lose my throat, my voice altogether. Lose your throat. What a funny thing to say. Lose your throat, lose your voice. Okay. So what they just dropped in there, they were saying that a very common theme for people right now is the feeling of not being heard, not being able to speak up, not being able to speak your truth. There's been an awful lot happening. So I'm here in Australia, and I know a lot of you look at my videos from all over the world. So I'm in Australia, and there's been a lot happening in the last few months here where Australians are feeling a lot of times that they're not being heard, that their wishes aren't being seen. We've had the aftermath of what was called the giggle and tickle case, which sounds a lot more fun than it really was. If you want to Google that and have a look at it, that was a case, but it's going to have ramifications for so many different areas. It's going to be interesting to see the fallout of that. But I think what they want to say on that right now is, we're the middle ground. We hold the light, we hold the light, we hold the acceptance. And what is important in all of this is remembering that this is always going to be the year where the divine feminine starts to rise. Divine feminine has been squashed for millennia, absolute millennia. And this is us rising back, claiming our power. Now, it's not about divine feminine usurping the divine masculine. Everything is supposed to be duality. Everything's supposed to be balance. And it's about coming back into balance. But as the divine feminine is rising more, we are seeing fight back. We're seeing fight back. And that's what they're telling me that the giggle tickle case was all about. So, have a look for that yourself. I don't want to sort of get divisive on things, and I don't want to really get into that in this video, but I see my role here as a conduit to share what I'm getting and to pass it on so you can take what you like and move forward with that. Now, I've got a lot of notes here. Let's start where we start with these notes. What they were talking about for the end of this month, so it's currently June, it's June 23rd today. Really interesting, Keir Starmer in the UK has just resigned. And so that's an interesting change. We've got a lot of political change here as well. There's been a groundswell of people moving towards one of our parties called One Nation, which is really our conservative Australian values. And a lot of people are swinging back to that. So we've had a groundswell of support, and currently that party's polling at around 30%, sometimes over 30%. They've overtaken the existing coalition government in the popularity polls. Now, it means nothing right now. We don't have an election till 2028 unless our intrepid leader decides that he is going to grow a spine and call an early election. There's been a lot of changes. So it's interesting. If you remember back at the start of this year, I talked about the changes that would come. The towers were going to start to fall. We were told it has to be broken to be remade. And I think in so many countries around the world, we're seeing those systems fall. They are not fit for purpose. They're not helping anybody anymore. And we're seeing them fall. They're going to start to be replaced by other things. Now, we're not exactly at the point right now where we'll see the good come in. It's almost like, when you're dealing with something or you're helping someone who's dealing with something and they say that they have to hit rock bottom before they can bounce back. This is no different. We have to hit the bottom because what we need to happen is as many people as possible to wake up, open their eyes, see what's really going on to be able to move things forward. And I've always said, as a naturopath, that people only make change when staying where they are is too damn uncomfortable. This is the same. So I know many of us have been trying to share with our loved ones and our friends what's really happening. And I lost a lot of friends during 2020, during lockdowns and all the rest of it, trying to share my views on what was happening. And now we're seeing it all come to pass. I saw this morning a report shared. It was written by some department of the US government. I'm sorry, I can't remember, can't bring it to mind. But if you Google, I'm sure it'll come up. And it was a report stating that Fauci and the department had paid for what was that facility called? The facility in Wuhan anyway, that was creating bioweapons that then caused the pandemic. Okay. So it's all coming to pass. It's frustrating how slow it's been, some of these things, particularly when this year's been so fast paced. Don't you find that it feels like the year's sort of on steroids a little bit, isn't it? So this year has felt really quick, hasn't it, in so many different ways. All right, so back to the notes. So what they've said for right now and moving into July is they've called it the time of reprieve. So we're going to see things continue to shake up in a lot of ways, but for us, it's going to feel like a little bit of a breathe, we can rest, we can stop for a little bit. What that means is we don't have to continue to feel like we're push, push, push. Yes, time has been speeding up. That's going to start to ease off a little bit now, which is good. Don't you feel like just last week it was February? So the time has just been chaotic. That's going to start to stop, start to slow down, feel a bit more normal, which is great. We really, really need that to happen. And they said, while we've got this period of reprieve, this is just channeled messages, by the way, that I've been receiving, and I write them down. They drop in things randomly that I need to bring to these sessions. So they've said it's the time this end of this month, next month, to try to keep your vibration high and experience joy. Now, I'm smiling a little bit because that makes so much sense. I wrote that probably 2 weeks ago. And now when I'm thinking about political changes, we've got economic changes. The budget that was passed down by our government is atrocious, and it is going to do nothing except push Australia into a recession. They have made so many changes that are going to push small business out of being able to function properly. They dropped new changes today to self-managed super funds, stopping people buying residential property within self-managed super funds. It feels like every turn our current government make is about making our lives harder instead of easier. So now it makes sense that 2 weeks ago they're saying, do these things to keep your vibration high. Turn off the TV, turn off your social media, jump in the car, take a few days road trip. They're showing me people going out, connect with nature, take time away, do something for you. And they're saying a lot of people might be in financial fear right now going, I'd really like to have a few days away, but I can't afford it. They're saying there's always ways, there's always means. Grab a tent, go pitch a tent at a camping place somewhere. They're saying there's ways and means, okay? You can always find a way. Find some time for you. Even if that time is just going and sitting on the beach or sitting in nature, read a book, take an hour for yourself. It's a great time moving into June, end of June and July. They're saying it's a great month for some new beginnings, or they literally said taking a leap. And they wanted to remind you that nothing ventured, nothing gained. You don't get anywhere by staying in the same spot, do you? You've got to take a leap. You've got to make a change. So that's the time to do it. That I know this is very cliche, but they're saying the universe has your back. It's the time to do it. The reason they're saying that is because we're moving into a time now which they're calling the time of the great creators. We are able to create in our own right, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I've got more notes on that. So they're saying that's what they're talking about. It's the time that you can create whatever you want. If you want a certain lifestyle, if you want a certain business, if you want a certain experience, if you want to call in a certain relationship, a new relationship, it's the time to make those things happen. They're saying that the other side, okay, the those that were, the powers that were. I know a lot of people call them the elites. I'd prefer if we find some other language, because I think calling them the elites is putting them on a pedestal that they don't deserve. So let's talk about the powers that were. Let's just call them that. They are going to continue to lose their grip, and they're going to continue to fight to maintain it. And you can see that, can't you? They are stepping up. They are ramping up to the point of borderline ridiculous. What's that saying? Blind Freddy can see what they're doing. It's getting borderline ridiculous. We've got to make sure that we stay in a high vibration, that we have the highest timeline in mind, the highest frequency, the greatest good, and that we keep our vibration high to combat their lower vibration, their lower frequencies. Let me just write something down. They just said, and we'll come back to that. Okay. And this, again, I wrote this probably 2 weeks ago. They said, if you are feeling, like, oh, we're not winning, there's a little bit of despair, they said, just look to the sky. Look to the sky and see the reduction in the stripy clouds to know that you are winning. Now, I will caveat that I did notice a couple of days ago, probably 2 days ago, the sky was really, really stripy again. When I asked what had happened, because I had noticed for probably 3-4 weeks, there was a definite reduction, and there was probably almost 2 weeks where I didn't see anything in the sky. What they said to me was that the powers that were are the ones that control the weather manipulation, and that made so much sense to me. As many of you know, I've run as a political candidate a couple of times and been involved in different areas there, and speaking to a couple of members of parliament, and even being outside one day at a polling booth going, look at the sky. What the hell? Look at the sky. And speaking to these members of parliament, they're going, yeah, we can see it too. And I'm saying, well, why aren't you doing anything about it? And they said, because we don't know who is responsible. And one of them said, I have tried high, I've looked high and low, and I've reached out to a number of different departments, etc., and I cannot find who's responsible. And if I can't find who's responsible, I can't pull them to account. And this made total sense to me, because what's happening is above the governments of the individual countries. It's beyond that. The machinations, the same machinations, I guess it's machinery and different things that are running that, were in the hands of the elites. Let's not call them that. In the hands of those powers that were. Something happened and they had that removed. Now, it's interesting to me, in the last few days, I've seen a little bit of that come back again. Okay, they're saying that there's still weather manipulation modification abilities in each country. And I know for a fact, Gold Coast City Council website in 2013, and it's still up there now, dated 2013, is when they started weather modifications. So, there is that going on. And I guess it's like everything, isn't it? Not everything's good, not everything's bad, not everything's these guys, not everything's those guys. We have to maintain our discernment, don't we? They wanted me to talk about disclosure. And as I say that, I feel the energy of Ashtar stepping in, and he has a fair bit he wants to say about that. So I will make a note. We will come back to that. But what they wanted to say just here is the word discernment comes up again. Disclosure will continue. As disclosure continues, they wanted to remind you about discernment. Truths and lies are going to be packaged together. And what they put in little chonchons, what they do well is the art of distraction. So you need to be mindful. When they're going, hey, look at this thing over here, they're doing something nefarious over there. So be mindful of all of that. Keep your discernment about you. While we're talking disclosure, let's just talk a bit about what's happened recently. We've had disclosure from the US government. I think we've had, 3 drops now of information, and each one has been a step further. Have you seen that? The first lot was pretty innocuous, and it was things we'd already seen, like the Tic Tac video, the gimbal video. We've seen those, been there, done that. The next level was a little bit more, some stuff we hadn't seen before. And then this last lot that they dropped had videos of orbs or images of orbs. Can't remember what I saw. A lot more. It felt like each time they're going a step deeper. I found it very interesting timing, because we just had the release on the 11th of June of the Disclosure movie, Steven Spielberg's. Why did I say Spielberg? Okay. Spielberg. You know what it's like when we're dealing with this sort of messaging. Nothing is a mistake. Steven Spielberg. So his movie came out, and I will talk to that. I did go and see it as soon as it came out. What they said to me was the hastening of the US government dropping this disclosure, these wads of disclosure, was about beating Spielberg to the punchline. We've got to beat Spielberg to this punchline. So they wanted to have stuff come out first going, so we've already told you, there's nothing happening. So that's a really interesting thing. It's like, we've got to beat him, got to get it out first. On the actual disclosure movie, I don't know who's seen it. I'd love to know. Say something in comments, let me know if you've seen it or not. What a disappointing crock of steaming aliens. Honest to goodness, what a ridiculous movie. I was hoping that there would be some real disclosure in there, and listening to some of the interviews Spielberg did in the lead up, he literally said, I'm going to be dropping some of the facts that I have found over the years. Facts. Okay, they're saying talk about the facts, Cass. Talk about the facts that were in there. We know some of that is factual. Well, some of you may not, but let's just go there. We're going to take neutrality, take a point of non-judgment, and just hear what they're telling us. So they're saying some is factual. People being abducted, particularly children being abducted, yes, factual. And actually might do a video as well about my most recent experience with that. That would be really interesting, I think. So they're saying that's factual. The ending scenes where they wheeled in the 7-8 foot, I'm going to call it extraterrestrial because the word alien just doesn't sit well with me. We're all aliens, and they've always said to me it's really racist almost. It's a bit of a derogatory term, so we'll just say outer terrestrials, okay, because we're all aliens. We all came from somewhere. But that is true. They're saying that is true. The government has kept a being against their will for many, many, many years. And remember, those beings from different areas, different solar systems, different planets, different dimensions, whatever they may come from, very different lifespans to us. A lot of them have very different lifespans. So they're saying that is accurate. They're saying that the concept of that movie where there was a faction that split off wanting to whistleblow is accurate. They're saying that faction literally stealing the alien, I said it again, stealing the biological and taking that out of captivity, not true, is what they're saying. People being able to understand the language, absolutely true, but that's been true for a long, long time. Think about the amount of people who already communicate with different beings, who already, channel or speak or whatever. So that's been true for a long, long time. People being able to manipulate emotions, that's been true for a very, very long time. And our government knows it. Governments around the world know it. Really interesting to learn more on that subject. If you look up someone called Kevin Trudeau explains his history and how he was trained by the US government, military, whatever the faction was, and how he was taught to manipulate emotions in a room and was taken into some high-level discussions with various world leaders, etc., purely to change the frequency within the room so they could get the outcome that they're looking for. He also has a really good book recently released. I think it's recently released. Your Wish is Your Command. He's basically giving the missing pieces of manifestation. Anyway, back onto disclosure. What else would you like to share about the movie, about what came out? They're talking about fear. They're talking about how they understand the movie had to be in ways lighthearted, a bit lacking in substance, because there is a faction of humanity that is going to freak the heck out. This is too much for them. It breaks their cognitive dissonance. They don't really understand it. And right now they're talking about religion and how this flies in the face of religion. Now, I was raised in the church. I was raised in a rather strict Christian household. So I understand, both sides of this. I've lived the religious side and now I'm on this side of the path. So what they're saying is we need to be understanding and we need to be supportive of what these people are going to go through. That the mere fact that this is coming to light, that this exists, rocks the foundation of their entire belief system. And that's a hard place to be. And I know a lot of you probably had similar when you started to open up to all of this. It rocks the foundation of what you believe, who you believe you are, what you think we are. So it's a really big thing. So they're saying to have grace and have love, compassion, support for people who are struggling with that. Everyone will come to grips with in different ways, different times, and we just need to be able to be there if we can. Yep. So, okay, what's coming through really strongly is an understanding. We've got to start remembering there's truth in every lie and lie in every truth. Nothing we've ever been told as humanity or any information we've ever been fed is 100% true or 100% lie. Take the Bible. And I actually have a video coming about that where I'm working on that and channeling some information. But the Bible itself, these people who are in the very strict religious denominations where I was raised are taught the book in its entirety. Every word is truth. There is no lie. You must believe every single word. And if anything doesn't fit, doesn't feel right, doesn't sit with your belief system, then you have faith. And you all have to have faith because this is true. Now, faith is just a word used to make you feel like you can just believe it without actually critiquing it and understanding it, in my opinion. Please don't come at me in the comments. But they're saying really that's the Band-Aid that our religion has given faith. Oh, you don't believe that? No, that doesn't make sense to you. Just have faith. Just have faith. So they're saying we have to be really conscious of the people around us as all this is coming to light. There's going to be people who never accept what's really happening, that they're so entrenched in their religion, and that there's going to be quite a fight back because religion is so entrenched in our world. It is the way they control people. It's the way they make people do their bidding. Look at what's happened and how manipulated religion is. There's so many missing books within the Bible. I don't even have to go into what happens. We know what happens in the history of Catholic Church, etc. There's been a lot of bad with some, there's good, there's bad in everything. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. So they're saying be aware of more disclosure. More disclosure is coming. Again, use your discernment. They're calling them false flags. They're going to parade out and going, look at these outer terrestrial beings here with us standing on a stage making a press conference. You can't believe what you see. What they are saying, though, is they're already here. We don't need big fanfare. They're already here. They're already living among us, and they have for a long, long time. A lot of people in the conspiracy realm or spiritual realm might go, yeah, reptilians, shapeshifters. That's all part of it. Yes, that is part of it. But there's also beautiful beings, part of society. You'd never know who they are. And they're just great people here for the right reasons. So they're already here and more is going to come to light. And yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. The world's going to change in ways we really couldn't see coming. That's going to be a really interesting change. Okay. On disclosure, they said there's a lot of people in the spiritual community, whether they're channeling or whether they're doing channeled writing, speaking to angels, whatever. There's a lot coming through about 2027 being disclosure year, 2027 disclosure year. And they actually said yes. Yes, that is correct. There's going to be more and more coming out, and there is a disclosure event in 2027. The world governments are trying to hasten things to beat you to the punchline, is what they're calling it, beat you to the punchline. So be aware of that. They are going to come forward with falsehoods, fakeisms. Is fakeism even a word? They're going to try to beat you to the punchline, and they're going to show you fake things instead of real things. So be aware of that. That may also happen on a religious front as well, so be aware for that. They wanted you to be more mindful of the closure of CERN and what that might mean. They said it's well worth our time to deep dive that a little bit and try and work out what's really going on there, why CERN's really closing, that we're not being told the truth, and what's happened there. They're saying what has come through is going to change the world. So we need to be aware of that. I think what I'm going to do on that front, that's a big one. And I've been doing some work on remote viewing in that location. And I think I'm going to continue that. I'll do some work remote viewing and then I'll report back, and I might even do remote viewing live and we'll look at CERN. Oh, and they also wanted to point out timeline jumps. There's a lot of changes right now. If you keep an eye on the Schumann resonance, you can see these things coming through. Across the space of 24 sort of hours, there was about 5 timeline jumps. Now, you can see these on the Schumann resonance because they show up as big black gaps in time. I can't find it off the top of my head. I will have a look and I will try and find it and put it up here on the post for you to see. But anyway, there was a 24-hour period. It was last week or the week before, and there was just black gaps. The Schumann resonance, remembering, is the frequency of the planet. Why would the frequency stop vibrating? Okay, she's energy, she's alive. Why would she stop vibrating? Because she's jumping from here to here. Okay. So that is happening. What that might mean for you, what you might experience is a lot of people at the moment talking about feeling dizzy, feeling a little bit off balance, feeling a little bit, what do they call it? Depersonalisation, a little bit like I'm not really here. That's really common. You're remembering things that other people don't remember, or things happening that don't seem to make sense. It might be an experience and you mention to someone, oh, you remember blah, blah, blah. And no, that never happened. Okay. That's happened to me a few times recently. And I've had to go, oh, okay, right. Timeline jump. I'm in a different space. For them, that never happened for me. Weird things. I'm seeing this at my clinic, and I know this sounds really, really weird, but 2 weeks after opening, I had to close because we had a flood in the kitchen. Issue with the tap, plug fell in, overflowed. By the time I found it, there was this much water throughout the place. We had to rip up all the flooring, rip up all the skirting boards, dry the place, and start again. Now, the weird thing is this. So I don't know how that happened. Okay. I don't remember putting plugs in wrong places, taps. I don't remember how that happened. I can't work it out. The last 2 times I've been in clinic since we've been back, things are moved. Today, I'm making sure I take the plug and put it up on a shelf out of the way. Okay, I'm making sure before I leave. There's a metal plug for the sink, and I take it and I put it up there on the shelf next to the microwave. Today, when I arrived in clinic, that was up on the shelf where it should be. And there is a round beige rubber plug that I've never seen before in my life sitting on the sink. How the heck did that get there? No idea. No idea. I never bought round rubber beige plugs. So I can't explain how that happened. Even something as simple as earlier, I looked up on my shelf over there where all of my oracle cards and things sit. And I'm always very particular. They always look nice and they're arranged nicely. And I'm in here every day. I see it every single day. And I look over and the Sacred Destiny oracle card deck was upside down. I did not put that upside down. Did not. Okay. So that's really weird. The other thing, even just preparing for this video today, and I was pulling some cards and looking at some things going, right, it's today you really want me to do this and I'm going to talk about this or that. I pulled cards from 3 different decks, just out of interest, not decks I'm using today, but 3 different decks. Every card, every deck that I pulled cards from was on page 123 of the book. Different decks. So tell me, if you are into numerology, what does 1, 2, 3 mean? Actually, out of interest, let's have a look at it. Let us have a look. So what I'm seeing here, it says it's an angel number representing stepping forward, simplifying your life, and trusting divine timing. 1 represents new beginnings, 2 represents balance and partnerships, and 3 represents expansion and expression. And I guess if you add those all up, you get a number 6, don't you? And number 6 is the frequency of unconditional love, harmony, and nurturing. It says it's in angel numbers, the ultimate caretaker and healer. So that's interesting, isn't it? Given they were telling us before that we need to make sure we've got compassion and support for people around us that might be struggling with the changes. Okay. So that is part 1. Part 1 of what they wanted me to share with you. I'll just put the notes over there. Now, I'm going to do something that I wouldn't normally do. Recently, as many of us did, I went and saw the Michael movie. And what was really interesting to me, for about 3 days before that, Michael was in my head. Have I worked with Michael before? Yes. Have I done anything on this channel with him? No. Because I feel that there's so many people out there claiming that they're channeling Michael or sharing his messages, and maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I just didn't want to be one of the masses going, oh, wow, Michael movie, I'm going to go channel Michael. Wasn't my thing. But I did get some channeled messages from him and I wrote them down. And he said to me, why should you not share them? We all have a part to play and we should all have a voice. So why should you not share them? So I'm just going to read you exactly what I got from him because I think it's really key for what's happening at the moment. Oh, and you'll be pleased to see I finally got glasses. I can read now. So what he said, his very first line, I'm just going to read it word for word. We all have a voice and that voice matters. I just felt his energy pop in. It's only together that we can change the world for the better. He said he wanted to clear up something. There's somebody online who talked about him being a time traveler. And he said, I want to clear that up because it's not exactly true. He said, my energy can feel really different, but that doesn't mean I'm a time traveler. But what I was a bringer of a higher frequency that the earth needed. And I think you can see that when you look at his music, you look at what brought through and the way he connected with people. I think you can't help but see the high energy, the frequency that he brought in. He said, although my death felt like an untimely end to some, it might have also felt unfair. It all happened as it should, because now my music and my frequency is alive on the planet, helping move consciousness forward to the next level in a way that I may not have been able to do if I was still alive. He said, had another timeline played out and I was still there, the music would still have a resurgence now for the same reason, but it may not be to the same level. He said, nothing is more important than feeling loved, being seen, and being heard. Love is the most important thing of all. And that's where he left it. So really interesting, isn't it? I think the main thing he wanted to clear up was that time traveler. I've seen quite a few people talk about that. And he said it's very easy to confuse that because it's a very different energy. And it does feel like it might be something from the future because it's where we want to go. It's more of that high vibe, unity consciousness type of energy. But he said it's not necessarily he was a time traveler, but he was bringing that higher frequency to Earth, that was his role. Okay, so with everything that's going on right now, I just want to pull some cards and see what comes through for this next sort of month or so. Where are we at? Where are we going to start? We're going to start with the Psychic Tarot by John Holland and see what comes through. So what do we need to know right now with what's happening? We've talked about a lot. We've talked about disclosure. We've talked about world governments. We've talked about the pressures that are on people right now. Cost of living. Whoop. Okay. We like it when the cards pop, don't we? Okay. Well, let's see what else goes with that. Okay, we got a few things coming out. All right, so let's talk about this. First up, and I'm probably not going to do what I normally do and take a photo and pop it up just because I'm so time poor at the moment. So I will just show these to you. First card that came out is 0, new beginnings. Nothing more to be said, really. Look at it. It's what we just talked about. We're talking about new beginnings, starting over. For those following on at home, this is, they've been saying for weeks, choice point, start point. We are here for the ascension. Welcome, you're in it. This is where we're at. New earth is beginning. This is what's happening. The towers are falling. So new beginning. And I find it really interesting. We've got the female energy there. And it's not just female energy, is it? Look at her. She's got a spear. She's determined. She's got that warrior energy. Okay. The second card that came out with that one is card number 3, heartache and loss. And this is where we're at, because change is hard for some. And like I said earlier, we only change when it's too uncomfortable to stay where we are, heartache and loss. Now, what I find interesting about this card is, again, you've got the energy of the divine feminine coming through. But do you find it interesting that the way the card is at the back here is almost giving you the semblance of wings? So I'm getting a reminder there that, if you are struggling with the changes, heartache, loss, what's happening right now, to call in the angels, work with the angels for that. On the other side of that, the other card that came out with those three is this guy here. Card number 1, prosperity begins. Prosperity begins. And I find it really interesting because how much do people talk about the tree of life? So there's a tree on there. You've got 2 people holding hands. You've got, we talked about the balance, hey, between the masculine and feminine, having a more united world, unity consciousness, Christ consciousness coming back. Prosperity begins, but it's only by working together. I am confused why there's flying peaches. Anyway, we could read the book, but I can't be bothered. All right. Now, the other cards that came out was moving on. Moving on. Now, that's a card, again, pointing to those new beginnings. That there is, look at this card, behind him, dark, miserable. In front of him, light, bright, new beginnings. Okay, so we're moving on. We know that. Accelerated motion came out next, number 8. Okay, accelerated motion, that's exactly what we talked about. Everything was speeding up. And I find it really interesting, the star in the sky of that one. That to me speaks of Christ consciousness, Bethlehem, etc. So we've always said part of this is the rebirth of unity consciousness. It's coming back. The next card that fell out there was card number 1, awareness. Now, they want me to talk to this one because many, many people are experiencing this right now. Are you going through a time where you're feeling that new abilities are happening, you're sensing more, you're understanding more? It's not uncommon. This is supposed to happen right now. We're at that point where Ascension's moving forward. Don't be surprised if your clairs come online, okay? It's the time for it. Your awareness is opening up. And then they gave us another reminder, mental conflict. And they're saying rest of humanity. So while we're sitting here going, wow, finally, Ascension's happening, we're getting all these new abilities coming online, we're becoming who we're supposed to truly be, there's a faction of humanity that are really struggling with this. Doesn't make any sense to them. They don't understand what's happening. They don't like what's happening. They don't like the change. Okay, so let's just remember to be mindful of what those people are going through. Now, for those that know the tarot really well and the psychic tarot, I read cards intuitively. So don't come at me in the comments saying, oh, that's not what the book says. I read cards intuitively and I tell you what I'm hearing. Okay, so that's what came through there. The next deck that really spoke to me today was, what's that one? The Energy Oracle. Energy Oracle, I'll just show you the wee book. Energy Oracle. And that's Sandra, what is it? Sandra Ann Taylor. Yes, that's right. With so much change happening right now, I felt the Energy Oracle really speaking to me because a lot is moving. We've done videos before, and I feel we've got another one coming about what's happening with the energies. We've got, earthquakes, we've got floods, we've got fires, we've got volcanoes erupting, all sorts of things. Remembering that they're saying Earth, Mother Gaia, is a storehouse of energy. So to help us in our ascension process, she has been storing energy, she's been storing frequency. That energy, that frequency, the stored pent-up energy has to come out somewhere for us to be able to access the frequency. And they're saying these volcanic eruptions, etc., earthquakes, that's what it's about. It's releasing the energy, Okay. They just want me to write something down. I'll go back to that. I think I'm going to split this in 2 and I'm going to do a separate video and we'll bring in Ashtar and talk about what's happening there. And we need, okay, they're just saying do a third video. They want me to do a third video on Christ consciousness. So we'll do that as well. I don't know if I'll get them all done this week. I'm actually heading away on Sunday. So right now it's the 23rd. It's Tuesday. Oh, finally, some things came out for us. Okie dokie. What goes with that, please? What do we need to know right now? Well, there they go. Okay. Okay. So, little reminder for us first: patience. We have waited a long time to be where we're at, to be at this precipice, this choice point. So they're saying, be patient. We're there. Okay. Be patient. We don't need to speed it up anymore. That's already speeding up. It's coming. And okay, they're saying that a lot of people are worried now that Ascension's here. Am I going to ascend? Is my frequency high enough, etc.? And they're saying, if you're watching this channel, yes, you are. If you're doing the work, yes, you are. So there's nothing to worry about there. They just put the book in my head, Dolores Cannon's The First Wave of Volunteers. They're saying, if you're concerned or worried about anything, that's a great book to read right now. So patience. Then we got, it's really interesting. And I think this comes back to, intuitively, what I'm getting is coming back to that whole divine feminine rising, the masculine fighting back a little bit, because the patriarchy doesn't want to give up. They don't want to give up the power. So we got two cards that came out together. The first one was man holding a coin. You don't need to be a psychic medium to intuitively read that one, do you? Man holding a coin. Man has the power. Man has the money. Look at me. Look at my money. Look at my ego. I don't want to give this up. They're saying that this speaks a lot to what we're seeing with world governments right now. Okay. I want the money. I want the power. I want the ego. I'm not stepping back. Don't care how much damage I'm doing. I don't care how much I'm ruining your country. I don't care how much I'm ruining your livelihood. Look at me. This is me. Okay. So we're seeing a lot of that. They're saying there's an intermittent phase coming. This is related to the next phase, an intermission. They're saying, like when you used to go to the movies years ago and you'd stop halfway through and they'd stop the movie and you'd go to the bathroom and you could get more snacks and you come back and they'd start it again. Showing my age now, aren't I? But that's how they used to do it. They're saying thinking man. So there's an intermission. They're talking about UK right now and the resignation of Keir Starmer that just happened. I think it happened this morning, or was it yesterday morning? I'm not really sure. I don't even watch the news. And there's another guy that's likely to step in. So I think, if I'm understanding correctly, their prime minister resigns and then the party, it's like Australia, the party puts someone else forward. And I think the person that they're talking about, someone called Andy is something or other. And basically they're saying the interim. So remember we said it's got to be broken to be remade. It's got to get pretty bad before people are willing to throw out, what's there. There's going to be an interim period where we feel like there's some changes coming. This little egocentric money maniac patriarch is going to feel like we're winning and we're seeing less of those. They're stepping back. We get this interim period of the thinking man, the guy that looks like, yes, I'm thinking about everybody and I'm being cautious. No, he's not. He's here to blow the lid off it because we need it to be broken to be remade. So don't freak out when that starts to happen. They're saying lots of sinking ships, that these men are going to make their own beds. There's going to be a lot of drama around these political people moving forward. I wouldn't even be surprised to see a political spill here. There's so much unrest and so many people disgruntled with our government. I wouldn't be surprised. At the moment, the Labor Party here is showing a very coordinated front. We stand together, but they're saying, no, it's not like that. Behind closed doors is a different story. Then the other card that came out there was Journey, reminder of, hey, this is where you're supposed to be. Look at us there. We're on our little bridge, all love and light. Okay, so we just got to stay in our zone. And the thing is, we need to be holding that highest frequency. It'd be great if new leadership comes in that does a better job. So let's hold the torch and hold the lantern and hope that they do that. And if they don't, so be it. We will hold high frequency and move forward anyway. Okay, so that's those cards there. Now, they said that there's a challenge. What's the challenge? What's our challenge at the moment? And they pointed me towards this deck, fairly new deck for me. It's called the Dark Moon. And it's by Yasmin Boyland, as you can see there. Okay. It says she's the creator of the Moonology deck. I didn't know that. And the artwork's by Lindsay Kokoska. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. So what's going on here and what's the challenge? Yeah, for me, this Dark Moon deck feels a little bit like the challenge card, the woo, they all wanted to go, the shadow self type situation. So let's see what we get here. What do we get here? And then I'm going to wrap this up because I said I would be 20 minutes making this video. It's 47 and my family's wanting dinner. What I'm hearing right now in my mind is some of the darker female energies from past are going to rise because we need that fight energy. We need the strength of the fight energy. We don't want to be in a fight mode, but we need the strength because for eons we have been taught to sit down, be quiet, look pretty, appease, 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 appease. Yeah, that makes sense. Because the card that just fell out then, they're saying when we try to go too far too fast, we have to watch out for recklessness. Recklessness. Yep. So we're there. A lot of Leo energy there, isn't there? But really think about it. We're in Firehorse, aren't we? Firehorse. And again, another card with Divine Feminine on it. Divine Feminine and the fire. So recklessness. So we have to make sure that we're moving forward thoughtfully, carefully, but with strength. Thoughtfully, carefully, and with strength. And what else came out was the card Hecate. Hecate. Now, for those that aren't aware, Hecate was a Greek goddess, and she was known as a mistress of magic. And it's said that she appears when we are at a crossroad. Oh, sorry, I've taken away so you can't see it. She appears when we're at a crossroads, and she really symbolizes wisdom and direction through darkness, through dark times. So that's Hecate. And the final card that came out, and it probably needs no explanation, card number 1, and it says begin again. Now that message, we had something else with new beginnings, didn't we? Somewhere, was it the Psychic Tarot? We've had new beginnings. So I find it really interesting when we get cards that confirm where we're at. So that's great. So challenge for us is we need to be strong. We need to bring our power forward. We need to do it in a way that is not reckless, that is mindful and careful, without, they're saying, don't dull your light. Okay. Don't shrink. We have to, stand our ground for what's coming. But they're saying really positive times. We're at a time where things are moving forward, and they're showing me right now a roller coaster. Showing me a roller coaster, and it's literally like we're at the top of the roller coaster right now. And when you're on the roller coaster, I hate roller coasters, but when you're at the roller coaster and you're going tick, 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 all the way up, and then you get to the peak and there's no going back. There's no turning back. You're going to go down the other. They're showing me us here going, okay, take a deep breath because we're about to go. We're about to go. And that's the time where we're in right now. Okay, friends, I hope that's been useful. Before I end, they wanted me to come back to this thing that I said in the beginning. Part of the rebirth of the Divine Feminine and bringing back in who we really are and stepping into that power is getting rid of victimhood, moving on from victimhood. And I know a lot of you have been able to do that. But what they wanted to remind you of is the 3 steps on that pathway of being human and the human experience. Because step 1 is living a life where it's all happening to me. This bad thing happened. Why me? Why does bad stuff always happen to me? I have all the bad luck. It's happening to me, poor me, victim me. I have no control. Then as we move through our journey and we raise our vibration and have a better understanding of how this experience works, we move into a phase of it's happening for me. It's happening for me. And even if you can't see it at that moment, hindsight comes and you see the reason behind it. Now, there's so many things that have happened in my life over the last decade that at the time I'm like, oh, really bad. But in hindsight, it was happening for me. Actually, case in point, the clinic that I just opened, the naturopathic practice, there was a place that I found. Now, there was problems with it. It was upstairs, didn't like a few things about it, but there was a lot great about it. And I was gung-ho about this place. Gung-ho about it. And I had a solicitor involved, and I'd paid $2,000 to start the process of the contracts that they asked for the lease. And while this was in throes, they went into lease with somebody else. And I lost the property. I lost the space. They put someone else in there before I had a chance to fight about it. There was already someone in there with their signs up, and I'm out of pocket $2,000 as well in this market. Not a great thing. And at the time, I was absolutely livid. I'm like, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what's going on? I know things happened for me, not to me. What's going on? And I couldn't get the answer until a couple of weeks later, where a chance meeting, and I happened to meet somebody just in passing who knows that building, who actually was a renter in that building, and they told me that there was so many problems with that building, that the building itself had black mold, that the building had a lot of issues with maintenance not being done, that the property managers were completely unethical, hard to deal with, etc. So I was saved. I was really saved from that point of view. So if you are going through hard times, try and think, well, what's really going on here? What are you being saved from? It's happening for you. But in those 3 steps, so you've got it's happening to me. Oh my gosh, poor me, it's happening to me. Then to that phase of it's happening for me. And then that next step is understanding it's happening because of me. It's happening because of me. Because we create our reality here. We create our reality. Now, you can tell I'm working between step 2 and step 3. That's my learning at the moment. They wanted you to have a reminder of those 3 steps so you can see where you are on that journey and work towards your next step. And the ultimate goal is creator of our reality. So we aren't bothered by the governments and what they do. So we're not bothered by, the people around us, by the low vibration things, because we're creating a reality that is ours, that we want to have, that is the ultimate experience for us, that's in the best interest of us and everyone else around us. So friends, now that I've tapped that in there like they wanted me to, and I have a few other points, but I'm going to leave that for the next video. I'll leave that there, but thank you so much for joining me. It's been great to have you here. Again, apologies for the delay, and there may be a couple of weeks delay while I go away to celebrate my 50th, but I look forward to coming back because I have a heap of new content coming for you and some great new experiences as well. I want to bring a lot more community here. So we're going to be doing some live experiences. We're going to be doing some live channels, live remote views. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you all. Take care. Great to have you here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.